my cutest little champions, I hope that you are doing as wonderful as you always are, and I welcome you all to day 32 of scoring 99% in 99 days. Today we are going to start off a new chapter in biology, and that is control and coordination, which by most of you, you feel that it's boring. But let me say, it's not boring, it's a very interesting chapter, and if it was not interesting for you, today we are going to make it interesting. And today's special reference would be for plants. So we will be just talking about plants. About animals we will be talking tomorrow. And what about plants? We will be talking about the two very different types of movements that you can observe in plants. Plants not move like this, but they have definitely some other ways to move. So we would be talking about that, and we would be talking about the plant hormones as well, and we would see certain very important questions from our NCERT as well. So are you ready for this battle? Let's get in with the question that we have. That question is, why do we just take off our hands when we touch something hot? Why do you think always when you touch something hot, you just do like this? Why do you think this happens? And what do you call this action as? You call this action as reflex action, okay? And over here, the thing that is making you do this action, what do you call it? You call this as stimulus. So you have stimulus, and then the action that you show is known as reflex action. Works. So how can you define a stimulus? The changes in the environment to which the organisms respond and react are known as stimuli, or basically the stimulus. Why did I have to talk about this now? Because the term stimuli is kind of very important when you talk about plants as well as animals. So I wanted to explain you that stimuli is something on which, or on the basis of which we react. Now I can be a plant, I can be an animal. Anyway, I'll be showing my own reaction in my own different ways. Works? Chalo. Now, reflex action in the case of plants is quite different from what is happening in the case of animals. So in the case of animals, when I say that I am moving my hand away, here there is nervous control, there is hormonal control as well. Here I can see both nervous control as well as hormonal control. But in the case of plant, I will say it is just hormonal control. Do they have a nervous system, my dear children? They do not have any nervous system. Do they have a brain? They do not have brain. But they definitely have certain receptors in their body, and with the help of these receptors, when they are active, they release hormones in their body, and these are the hormones that would be controlling everything in the case of plants. So together, nervous system as well as the hormonal system, or basically the hormonal control, what it is bringing in the case of both plants and animals, it is helping in what? Coordination of all the activities. Suppose these things are not working, will the things be coordinated properly? No, children. So working together of the various parts of the body of an organism in a proper manner to produce a proper reaction to a stimulus is known as what? Coordination. And that is what your chapter is about, control and coordination. Okay, so for coordination you need hormones in the case of plants. Now we are going to specifically talk about just the plants. Now in plants, do plants move? Do you think that the plants, they move? Over here you can see sunflowers, okay, and these sunflowers basically they're kind of moving up and down like this. This is a type of movement that you can see in plants. So plant moves like this, and probably they have so many different actions which you might have not noticed, but when I would say about it, definitely you would understand things a lot better. So over here it goes like this. Movements in the case of plants can be divided into two. One is Nastic movement and the other one is tropical movement or tropic movement. What do you call it? Nastic movement, or you call this one as Tropic Movements. Okay, so basically what is the difference between Nastic and Tropic? So when I say that I am touching a touch me not plant, okay, I am touching a touch me not plant. Here, what is the stimulus in the case of a touch me not plant? It's the touch. And what will be the action that I would be able to see? It will close its leaves. Now, does this have anything to do with the direction of the touch? For example, there's a touch me not plant over here, okay, with its leaf, and I am touching it from this side, and I am touching it from this side, or I am touching it from this side. Either way, what will the plant do? It will just close. So basically I will say that it is going to show movement, okay, with no respect to the direction of the stimulus. With no respect to the direction of the stimulus, it will be showing its action. But as when you talk about tropical movements, things are quite different there. How it is different? So there is sun. there is sun. Or probably I will be giving you an example of touch only. Just imagine there is a plant like this which has tendrils like this. Now tendrils, if you have seen, they grow on, they basically go and catch hold of the thing that is near and try to grow on it, right? So over here again, touch is a stimulus. Touch is a stimulus, and the growth that you see, the movement that you see, they will grow and they move towards it. So this is a movement, and it is in what direction, children? It is in the direction of the stimulus. So over here, the action has nothing to do with the direction of the stimulus, whereas over here, the action has a lot to do with the direction of the stimulus. You will get to understand things better when I go in detail. So first, we would be talking about Nastic movements, and then we would be going ahead with tropical movements or trophic movements. The first Nastic movement that we have over here, the definition of it, how can we define it? Over here, see, it is getting closed, right? So here, the direction of the response is not determined by the direction of the stimulus. The direction of the stimulus has nothing to do with the direction of the response that is getting closed. So can I say that it's a non-directional movement? I can say this is what? A non-directional movement. Now, it may or may not be growth movement. So over here, I don't see any growth. It is just closing. So it is not a growth movement. In the case of tendrils, it is growing towards the stimulus. So usually, whenever we speak about trophical movements, no, they are growth movements. They deal with some amount of growth. Here, it may or may not be growth movement. Now, Nastic movements are of different types. For example, the first one that you saw over here, what do you call this plant as? You call this as touch me not plant, or you also call it as Mimosa pudica. Okay, you call it as touch me not plant, or you also call it as Mimosa pudica. Works? So over here, what is happening? Thigmonastic movements are responses to touch or physical contact. So over here, this movement that you see, it is in response to touch or basically physical contact. Now the next type is photonasty, where the stimulus will be photo. Photo means what? Light. The stimulus is what? Light. Now, for example, this daisy plants that you see over here, they kind of bloom. Okay, they kind of bloom in response to light. Okay, or they kind of close. So this again is not growth movement. They are not growing towards it or something is happening over there. Nothing. It is non-directional. It has nothing to do with the direction. But if there is light or if there is no light, they will show certain differences. So photonastic movements are responses to what? Light, children. Okay. Now you have next, that is thermonasty. So thermonastic movements are responses to temperature. Over here, this leaf that you see belongs to a plant whose name is rhododendron. Now rhododendron, when there is enough amount of temperature, okay, temperature is kind of high, they open up like this. But when the temperature is kind of low, they close like this. Okay, so this is again a movement that is happening. They are opening, they are closing. On the basis of what, children? Thermo means on the basis of temperature. Now this is a nastic movement since the direction of the stimulus has nothing to do with the direction of the response that is being shown. So in your book, they have not mentioned about thermonasty or photonasty or stuff like that. They definitely have mentioned about this thing, that is thigmonasty. Please remember the name of the plant, that is Mimosa pudica, which shows a nastic type of movement. Okay. Now again, they have not mentioned this term, but they have given the example of Mimosa pudica, so please remember it. Now, we are going to put our brains into something else, that is sunflowers. So sunflowers, what can you say? Do they show trophic movement or nastic movement? Are they showing trophic movement or nastic movement? So you know the sun is there, no? The sunflower will be moving according to the sun. Okay, so over here you see all of them are moving this side. And if the sun is going that side, they will be moving towards that side as well. So what do you say? It is directional or non-directional? It is directional because it is going according to the stimulus. Stimulus is what? Light. And who is giving? Sun. So it is going along with the direction of the sun. Okay. So this movement is what? Trophic movement, children. It is not nastic movement. If it was nastic movement, for example, sun is moving that side, the sunflowers might have moved this side or that side, either way. But over here, wherever the sun goes, these guys would also be going. So sunflowers show trophic movements and you have to know about that. Okay. Now, tropical movements or trophic movements, which I just said, here the direction of the response is determined by the direction of the stimulus. Whatever direction of the response is there, it is determined by what, children? what is the direction of the stimulus? It is determined by that. Now it is a directional movement. They include growth movements as well. They will be including what, children? Growth movements as well. Okay, so over here please remember the difference that comes. They will ask you what is the difference between the movement of touch me not plant and the movement of a normal plant. Basically generally talking about they're asking you the difference between Nastic and Tropic movements. So please understand, you have to write it like this. Third point should be they may or may not include growth movements, but over here they include the growth movements. Now depending on what is the stimulus, again it can be divided into phototropism. There it was photonasty, here you made it tropism. Okay, so photo means light is a stimulus. Geotropism, that means here gravity is the stimulus. You also call it gravitropism. Okay, we will be discussing about each of them one by one, do not worry. Now chemotropism is when you talk about chemicals, okay, on the basis of chemicals. Hydrotropism is when you talk about water, okay, on the basis of water, are they moving away towards whatever. Thigmotropism, that is on the basis of thigmo, always remember it's for touch. Works? Chalo. Now we are going to talk about phototropism. That is the first tropical movement that you have. So over here, it is a directional movement of the plant part in response to light. You have two different types. One is positive phototropism and the other one is negative phototropism. So if you see this, okay, if you see this, the shoot that you see, it is going to always move towards the sun. If this is the sun, it will always move towards the sun. So I will say that shoot basically shows what? Positive phototropism. Whereas on the other hand, if you talk about the root is basically moving away from the sun. It is moving away from the sun, hence the root shows something that is known as negative phototropism. So whenever you make a normal plant diagram, you make it like this, right? So over here, the roots are going down, so they are going to show negative phototropism. The shoot is going to go up, that is why it is known as positive phototropism. Over here also you see, they are going towards the sun. So this is an example of what? Tropical movement, phototropical movement. So here, it is a directional movement of what? Of the plant part in response to what, children? Light. Cool. Now next thing. So this is the thing how it actually works. So there is a hormone, I told you, in the case of plants, they do not have they do not have a nervous system to control them. Instead, they have what? Hormonal system to control them. So how does it work? Basically, there is a hormone which you call as auxin. What do you call it? You call this as auxin. Now auxin is generally distributed at the tip like this. It is distributed at the tip like this uniformly. Now suppose the sun is here towards this side. What will happen? The auxin which was uniformly distributed will be moving towards the opposite side. The auxin will be moving towards the opposite side. And when the auxin moves towards the opposite side, what happens, children? So auxin has a very important role. Auxin has a very important role, and that is to, for example, this is the cell. It will now do something that is known as cell elongation. So they will do something like this, that is known as cell elongation. So over here, the auxin which came over here, what are they going to do? They are going to elongate the cell. So your cells would be longer here. The cells would be what, children? Longer here. Whereas on the other hand, when the auxin is less, the cells will be of normal shape. The cells will be of normal size. So over here, if one side becomes long and the other side basically is shorter cells, so what will happen? They slowly bend towards that. They slowly bend towards that region. So over here, you see, they are bending towards that particular region such that the sun was facing this side, which is why this side was growing. Okay, now you have tilted so that the other side could also get the sun rays and it can also grow. So this is how phototropism actually works. This is how we say the plants actually move towards or away from the light. Okay, so there is a role of what? Auxin over here. And please remember, auxin is always there for cell elongation. So when unequal cell elongation happens on one side, that's when it bends towards that. This is why we can see this particular thing happening over here. Cool, so that all the sides get enough amount of light. So this is an example of phototropism. I hope you remember that roots always show negative and the shoot will always show positive. So if you keep the, okay, so there is a pot like this where this is happening. Now if you keep the pot like this, still the plant will be moving towards the upper side, the roots will be moving towards the outside. So this picture, if they show, just understand this is talking about positive phototropism and this is talking about negative phototropism. Works? Cool? Okay? Next thing. So how can you write the answer if it comes? So in the case of phototropism, when the light is detected on one side of the root, this is about root. So root thing, I won't suggest you to study that as of now because they usually ask about shoot. That would be more than enough. So let's drop it. Okay, I will just remove this thing. It is not important for you. Let's not go through it. Now one more thing, if you are someone who is kind of confused as to what you should be doing after your 10th standard, then I have a perfect solution for you. We at Diksha basically are having a Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test which goes like this. Okay, so over there is a 60-minute concept based lecture. After the lecture there will be a test that will be happening, an aptitude test, and depending on what your mark is and everything, there will be a counseling, one-on-one counseling with the counselor, and that person, whoever he or she is, would be telling you what stream could be the best for you. So if you're someone who is interested to know more about that, the link is given in the description box. You can just click on the link and then you have to fill the form. So that's how it goes. Now, let's go ahead with the next thing. So phototropism is done. Now let's talk about geotropism. I told you, geo basically means you're talking about gravity. And geotropism is also known as, it is also known as gravitropism. It's also known as gravitropism. Okay, so it is a directional movement of the plant part in response to gravity. Now who will show positive geotropism and negative geotropism? Now over here, gravity, you know, it's going downwards, right? So anything that is going downwards along with it will be showing positive. So the roots that you see over here, they are going to show positive gravitropism. Whereas when you talk about the shoot, what are they going to show? They are going to show negative gravitropism or geotropism. The shoot until now was showing positive phototropism and now it is showing negative geotropism. It is two different terms. Here it is going against the gravity, so it has to be negative only. Okay, there it was going towards the light, so it has to be positive there. So please remember, shoots show positive phototropism but negative geotropism. Here, roots show negative phototropism but positive geotropism because it is going towards the gravity. Now the picture is like this. Still, you will be saying the same thing. They show, the roots show positive geotropism but negative geotropism in the case of shoot. Root, positive geotropism. In the case of shoot, negative geotropism. Okay, so this picture can give you an example. If it is asked what type of tropical movement is shown over here, you will say it is showing both geotropism and phototropism, and you have to explain it like that. If roots are showing positive geotropism, then they are also showing negative phototropism. If shoot is showing negative geotropism, then they are also showing positive phototropism. I hope I'm clear. Okay, so gravitropism, geotropism, everything is the same thing. They might give you this picture and ask you, tell the correct example of, okay, now, if the situation was something different, if they give you a picture like this and they're showing something like this, where the roots are going like this, the sun is over here, is this picture correct or false? This picture is correct or false? It is false. Why? Because shoot has to grow that side and the root has to grow this side. So this is a wrong picture. So you should be knowing, analyzing the picture really carefully. Works? Cool? Chalo. Next, chemotropism. Now chemotropism is a directional movement of the plant part in response to what? Chemicals. Now where can you see positive chemotropism? So I hope you know this structure. Do you know the structure? So over here, listen to me very carefully. The pollen grain will come and land over here, okay? And pollen grain slowly forms a tube like this which carries the gamete, and the gamete will be going into the ovule. But how does the pollen grain come to know that I have to get into the ovule? How? How? Basically what happens is that this particular structure that you just saw, okay, the pollen grain was coming and landing and forming the pollen tube over here. But who gives the signal? It is the ovule itself. It's the ovule which is there in the ovary, which would be releasing what? Chemoattractants. Chemical attractants. That is what you mean by chemoattractants. And what are these chemoattractants going to do, children? They are going to release so many these chemoattractants, basically, which is released over here. That will make the pollen tube grow towards the ovule. That is what chemoattractants they do. So over here you see the pollen tube is moving towards the chemical. So is it positive or negative? It will be positive. It is moving towards the stimulus, so it has to be positive. So positive chemotropism is shown by pollen tube formation. Negative chemotropism, for example, there is root. Inside the soil, this is the roots, and I am putting certain chemicals over here. Do you think that the roots will grow that side? No, they will move the opposite side. And if they are moving the opposite side, what do you say? This is what? This is an example of negative chemotropism. So roots move away from toxic chemical source. That is an example of negative chemotropism. You can find your own examples as well, but this is what I found and this is what I want you to write as well. This will be the safe zone example. Works? I hope I am making things understandable by you. For you, not by you. And if you're someone who thinks that yes, ma'am is explaining well, definitely let me know. And if you think that ma'am is not explaining well, definitely let me know that as well, which is more important, okay, because I will also try to improve myself. But if you think my teaching is really good, then definitely you have to tell me in the comment section, or probably suggest to your friends who are in need of understanding things better. Let's chalo. Now, this is the example. So the ovule within the ovary of the flower produces chemicals which are known as chemoattractants. These chemoattractants are often sugars or other molecules that serve signals to guide the pollen tube towards the ovule. The pollen tube grows in the direction where the concentration of chemoattractant is higher, which is why it is an example of positive chemotropism. Now the next thing, hydrotropism. What do you mean by that? So it is a directional movement of the plant part in response to the water source. Here water is the guy. Stimulus is what? Water basically. Okay, so positive hydrotropism is when plant move towards the water source. For example, there is a soil like this and over here there is no water elsewhere, but towards the lower region there is water. So obviously the roots will be growing towards that particular region only. So this is an example of what? Positive hydrotropism. This is the example of positive hydrotropism. Works? So plants move towards the water source. Negative hydrotropism, plants move away from the waterlogged regions. Okay, so when there is a condition where there is flooded condition, okay, when during floods what happened, there is too much amount of water, the plants won't be able to breathe, the roots won't be able to breathe, they need to exchange gases. No, that is not happening. So the roots kind of try to move away. So that is an example of negative hydrotropism. Now on the basis of this, they have given a very important experiment. Okay, they have given a very important experiment. Actually, they have asked you to make a very important experiment. And how? Can you show with the help of an experiment that hydrotropism works? So the experiment goes like this, where there is a frame, okay, making the frame like this. And this is our cute little plant. And we will just make a flower at the top. Okay, now we need roots. Let's make the roots. So roots are up here. Children, if we put a clay pot, what pot? If we put a clay pot that is carrying water over here, okay, and there is no water elsewhere, okay, please remember that it's a clay pot. So what will happen? The roots which are there, it will slowly start moving towards that side. Why, ma'am? Because clay pot, as you know, water can be easily transported with the help of clay pot. So over here the water molecules would be coming outside, which would make this region what? This region wet, which would make this region wet. Now over here, the things that you see over here, they will be moving towards the wet region. And this is a perfect example of what? Hydrotropism. So you can give this example and you can show positive hydrotropism happening up over here. Works? So if you understood, smile. Okay? Chalo. So that was it. And now, again, the very important thing, that is thigmotropism. What do you understand by thigmotropism? So over here you see the tendril. Over here you see the tendril. Tendril is going towards a source, okay, and then it is coiling around it. Basically over here it is touching and it is moving towards the area where it is touching. So it is a directional movement in response to touch stimulus. Now you have positive and you have negative. Positive is when tendrils helping in the growth of the plant with the help of the support. Tendrils, they move towards the support. Negative is when the tendrils basically move away from unsuitable support. So you might see in some thorny regions, they won't go and bind it over there. So if there is something unsuitable, they won't move, they move back. Okay, so positive is when tendril is basically helping the plant grow towards the support. Now over here you have to know why tendrils move like that. Again the same thing that was happening in the case of phototropism. Which was the hormone that was helping in the case of phototropism, children? It was auxin. Here also you have auxin. How can you show? So basically show a tendril up like this and show a support like this. This is the support. So what happens is that auxin molecules which are uniformly distributed like this will be moving towards one side. So now you have auxin up here, okay, and this will be the support. Now what? Basically on this side there will be an unequal cell elongation that would be happening, but over this side the cells are still small. So if you see, it has started bending towards this side. Why? Because auxin has caused something that is known as cell elongation. Now it will slowly bend totally towards the support and it will be coiling around it. Got it? So thigmotropism and phototropism, just remember it's auxin, and you have to make the diagram like that. I will give you the proper diagram. Don't draw the diagram like this. Okay? So that's all. I hope you are understanding things, what I am trying to say. So hydro, thigmo, chemo, gravitropism, and then phototropism. These are the example of tropical movements which are totally controlled by what? The hormones. Now, select from the following the correct statement about tropic movements in the plants. Let's see. It is due to stimulus of touch and temperature. It does not depend upon the direction of the stimulus received. It's wrong. It is observed only in roots and not in stems. Wrong. It is a growth related movement. This will be the answer. It is a growth related movement. Over here tendrils are growing, the roots are growing, the shoot is growing. So everywhere it is growth related movement. The pollen tube is growing, okay. But over here it is due to stimulus of touch and temperature. It's true, but there are other factors also. There are other stimuli also, right? So I cannot totally just go with it. So this becomes your answer. It is a growth related movement when you talk about tropic movements. Cool? Chalo. Now welcome to the world of plant hormones. One you already studied, and that is what? Auxin. Auxin is a very important plant hormone. Apart from that, you have few more: cytokinins, gibberellin, abscisic acid, ethylene. You might be worried that how will I learn all this? It will be really easy. Trust me. Trust the process. Okay. So auxin is responsible for cell elongation, as you can clearly see over here. So auxin promotes cell elongation, influencing the growth of stem and root. Tropism. Auxins are responsible for phototropism and gravitropism and thigmotropism, lots of tropism. So you know they are responsible for this. Auxin, we learned it. Auxin, I think we can remember. So always remember, auxin comes under a category of hormone which is known as growth promoter, because it is helping in the growth. So it is coming in a category. There are two categories of hormone. One is growth promoter, another one is growth inhibitor. Auxin comes on the growth promoter because, as you can see, it is helping in cell elongation and tropical movements and stuff like that. So it is an example of what? Growth promoter. Now if you go ahead, we have gibberellin or gibberellic acid. And as you can see over here, gibberellin is kind of famous for this thing. Basically, germination. It is responsible for germination. G for gibberellin, G for germination. And also for blossoming of the flowers as well. So seed germination, what does it do? Always remember, they break the seed dormancy and stimulate seed germination. So dormancy means a state where it is metabolic rate is kind of very less. Okay, plant is just having the food that is stored and stuff like that. It is metabolic rate is really less. Why do you think the plants or the seeds basically they undergo dormancy? Probably when they are in a state, unfavorable state. For example, I have a small this thing, chickpea. This chickpea I have not put water or anything like that. The chickpea seed is just there. When I put it inside the water, slowly it will germinate. Why? Because until now it was in the state of dormancy, but when it got the water, the receptors and everything got active, and then the hormones, it became active, and now you see seed germination happening up over here. So which is that hormone that plays a major role in breaking the dormancy and stimulating the germination? It is gibberellin. Okay, so I'll say this is also an example of growth promoter. I'll say this is also an example of growth promoter. Works? Cool? Chalo. Next thing. Cytokinin. What is cytokinin there for? Cytokinin stimulates cell division, promoting overall plant growth. What is cytokinin there for, children? Cytokinin. Cyto as in cell. Kinin as in division. Okay, so cytokinin stimulate the cell division, promoting overall plant growth. So it will be helping in the division, and then it will be promote what? The plant growth. Cells are dividing. So if cells are dividing, basically they are helping in the formation of a plant pot or anything like that. Now leaf senescence is also cytokinin delay the aging and death of the leaves. Anyway, if it is delaying the death of the death of the leaves or anything part like that, that means it is a growth promoter. Always remember the easy way. Growth promoter. So I said about 3 hormones which are going to promote the growth. One is auxin, other one is gibberellin, and now you have cytokinin, which is there for cell division. Cyto, cell, kinin, division. That is enough. You can study just this. This is not very much important. Okay. Please remember the name of the hormone, cytokinin, cell division. Now, so growth hormones, growth promoting hormones are done. Now growth inhibiting hormones, they are dark ones. So we have abscisic acid, which you call as Abba, okay, which you call as Abba. So a student of mine, his name is Akhil, he was the one who came up with this, that is Abba. So I still remember. If you are listening somewhere, then yes, I remember you, always. So yes, so what happens over here is that in drought, basically this particular abscisic acid is there actually for saving the plant. Suppose we say no, God helps us during all the tough times. Similarly over here, Abba will be helping the plant such that the plant does not grow when the resources are not there. There is no enough water, there is no enough nutrition. At this point of time, plant should not grow, otherwise it will die. So it has to stay dormant. It has to stay dormant. Now when the time comes, that's when other hormones will be active and they will help. So abscisic acid is the one that will lead to seed dormancy. Okay, it will make the seed dormant against gibberellin, which was working in breaking the seed dormancy. Now, it is also, ABA helps plants respond to water stress by promoting stomatal closure and reducing water loss. So, when there is drought condition at this point of time, you do not want to lose water. So, you want the stomata to remain closed. Who does it, children? ABA. Who does it? ABA. So you might think that it is for something wrong, but this is for something right, and it eventually shows up. So I know I am relating it with life, but in that way probably you might remember things better. So Abba will be helping you survive during conditions that you think is favorable, but it's not actually favorable. So it is against stress response. ABA is involved in various stress responses such as salt and cold tolerance. Whatever happens bad, just remember there is ABA, which is going to make the plant stay in a dormant state or close the stomata, things like that. So it is opposite to seed germination. Please remember that. Now it is not allowing growth to happen, which is why I would call it a growth inhibitor hormone. I will call this as a growth inhibitor hormone. Works? Cool? It's easy, no? Okay? Now, next thing, the last one, ethylene. Ethylene is also a fun hormone. Okay, ethylene is the one that will make the other fruits ripen. Okay, ethylene is kind of a volatile gaseous hormone. Okay, it is a gaseous hormone. So if you have a ripe, let's say, banana, and if you keep between unripe ones, the other ones will also ripen up. Why this happens? Because ethylene accelerates the ripening of the fruits by promoting the breakdown of cell walls and chlorophyll degradation, senescence, everything. So basically, it is mostly associated with fruit ripening. You just have to remember that. Okay, ethylene is for fruit ripening. Ethylene is for fruit ripening. Okay, it's a gaseous hormone that is being released. So this is also a growth inhibitor. It is not promoting growth by any chance. It is a growth inhibitor. So now for you to revise, let's hide everything and let's say the name of the plant hormones. One, you're talking about the growth promoting ones. Okay, so the growth promoters, first thing you have Auxin, second you have Gibberellin, third you have Cytokinin, remember, okay, remember before I write, and then you have growth inhibiting, remember the two of them. What are those? One is abscisic acid, second is ethylene. Okay, ethylene. So you can remember it's a lean thing, growth is inhibited, so it has become lean. You can remember like that. Now Auxin's very important function is cell elongation. Gibberellin's very important function is seed germination. Cytokinin, very important function is cell division. Abscisic acid, it's a stress hormone. So all kind of stress. And for inducing what? Dormancy. Ethylene, fruit ripening. Okay, can you remember this? It's an easy thing, no? I hope you would be able to remember. So these are the 5 hormones that you find in plants, and with this we are completing the plant section, but we have to solve certain questions from the NCERT, and I have given the answer also, so it will be easy for you. First question, how is the movement of leaves of sensitive plant different from the movement of shoot towards the light? This is what? Nastic movement. Sensitive plant, as in you're talking about touch me not plant. That is a nastic movement. That is what? A tropic movement. Now explain the definition of nastic. Here, in nastic, which does not depend on the direction of the stimulus applied. Here it is a tropic movement which depends on the direction of the stimulus applied. What is the stimulus over here? It is touch. What is the stimulus over there? It is light. Okay. How does it cause? It is caused by sudden loss of water from the swellings at the base of the leaves. Okay, this thing I have not taught, but okay, in the case of this leaves, no, of touch me not plant, they have a structure like this, which is known as, which you cannot see possibly. They are very small structures which you call as pulvinous. And pulvinous, when they lose water, that is when the leaves they close. And how do they lose water? Because of the receptors and things getting activated, the hormones being releasing, it is losing water, which is when it slowly closes up. Okay, and when it gains water, the leaves will open up. So it is caused by the sudden loss of water from the swellings on the base of the leaves. It is caused by unequal growth on the two sides of the shoot. Yeah, that is why unequal growth, because one side has cell elongation, other side does not have it. Now, it is not a growth movement. Touch me not, that is not a growth movement, but over here it is a growth movement. Don't say nastic movements may or may not be growth movement. Over here you are specifying it's about the sensitive plant. Okay, over here it is not a growth movement, whereas tropic is always a growth movement. Works. Chalo, next, what are plant hormones? How will you define it? Plant hormones are also known as phytohormones, P-H-Y-T-O, okay, not phyto. Not phyto like this, please don't write that and come and don't say Jasmine Ma'am taught it. It's phyto, okay, phyto are naturally occurring organic substances. These are synthesized in one part of the plant body and translocated or transferred to other parts where they are required. The 5 major type of phytohormones are Auxin, Gibberellin, Cytokinin, Abscisic acid and Ethylene, my champions. Okay. Now, how do auxins promote the growth of tendril around a support? I already made and showed. This is a uniform auxin. The auxin moves towards that side, causes cell elongation, unequal cell elongation, which is why this happens. So when tendrils comes in contact with any support, the part of the tendril in contact does not grow as rapidly as the part away from the object due to auxin secreted moves away from the object in contact. This rapid growth on one side causes tendril to encircle around the object. You can write it in your own language, but make sure you do not write like this, write in points. So the first point will be, here they are showing thigmotropism, where auxin has a major role to play. So what happens is that the area where the plant is in contact with the support, okay, from there the auxin would be moving towards the opposite side, which is not in contact. And since auxin is in unequal concentration on the opposite side, it will cause cell elongation there. What type of cell elongation? Unequal cell elongation. Because of this unequal cell elongation, you would be seeing bending towards the contact, and that's how the tendrils, they encircle the contact. Okay, thank me. Later, please draw the diagrams. Cool? Design an experiment to define hydrotropism. This is the experiment I told you. You either put water like this or you put a clay pot like this. So plant a seedling in a vessel containing soil. Adjacent to the seedling, put a porous pot containing water. Leave the setup for a few days. Observation. On examining the roots of the seedling, it is observed that roots bend towards the source of water and do not go straight. Because straight there is no water. But over here you see the area which is having water. That's why it is moist. The color is changed, right? So we will be moving towards that. So write like this only. First show procedure, then show observation. Make that diagram. You don't need to make this. Make this diagram. It confirms that plants show hydrotropism as the roots bend towards the porous part of the plant, of the water. Hydrotropism is a plant growth response in which direction of the growth is determined by a stimulus of the gradient in water concentration, or basically direction of the response is equal with the direction of the stimulus, or is in the direction with the stimulus, or it is in the same direction as that of the stimulus. That is more correct English, or the only correct English that I know. Yes. How does phototropism occur in same thing? I told you, the movement in any part of the plant due to light is known as phototropism. Shoot of the plant show positive, root show negative. You have to explain one. So you can show positive one. So phototropism in plants occur through the redistribution of growth promoting hormone, that is auxin, in response to light. Photoreceptors detect light, triggering a movement of auxin. So there are photoreceptors, okay, which will take the light, okay, and that is the one that will tell the auxin to move towards that side. So photoreceptors detect the light, triggering a movement of auxin away from the light source. This leads to uneven growth, causing the plants to bend or grow towards the light. You can make with the help of diagram, just like how you made in the case of thigmotropism. And with this, we are ending off the control and coordination in plants. And if you are someone who is very much excited to know what you have to do after your 10th grade, then here we are for you. We have Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test. So take your DSAT now, where there will be a 60-minute concept-based lecture followed by an aptitude test on the basis of the lecture only, and then a one-on-one counseling. After which, the person who would be counseling would be telling you what stream could be the best for you. Now, if you are someone who is in this confusion, who want to take away this confusion, you can click on the link that is given in the description box. It will be really helpful for you. Works. And if you are someone who is basically liking the videos that we are putting, so we are putting a lots of effort. This is a secondary channel that we have. We already have a primary channel which goes well. It is for KCERT and stuff like that, exams, okay, entrance exam. This is a subsidiary channel which we thought we would be making for foundation students. So it will take its own time to grow and stuff like that. But yes, if you are someone who genuinely feels that this particular channel is useful for you, the teachers they here are working really hard, then definitely do not forget to suggest this channel to your friends, and also subscribe to our little channel and make it really big. Yeah, and yeah, that's all. And I hope that you are doing absolutely great. Please do not be panicked about your board examination. It's on February 15th, starting from February 15th. And I'll tell you, this is the best time of the year. Everyone scares you that 10th is scary, 10th is scary. 10th is not scary. Do not be scared. They are just joking around. You just give your best. Okay, 10th is so easy to scare. 10th is so easy to score, not scare, okay? Easy to score if you give your 100%. It goes for everything, but I'll say 9th was more tougher than 10th. Okay, because of all the subjects, things and stuff like that. Here, things would be easy. It's just the undue pressure that you are putting on yourself and your peers and everyone is putting on yourself. It's easy. Just give your 100%. If someone is there out giving their 100%, I'm pretty sure you are going to score really well, and that will change a lot of things in your life. When you feel that essence of getting marks, good marks, basically it's not just about good marks. When you get good marks, you become recognized for a lot of things. Basically, you have that confidence in yourself and you might try to achieve more things which you probably like. Okay, for example, playing some instrument or something like that. So if you think that you're underconfident, then you should give yourself a try, give your best shot for everything that you're doing, whether it be studying, whether it be playing, whatever. But as of now, I'll say play later, thoda sa. For a little time, you just study. Okay, and now if you think that this video was useful, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and lots of love and best wishes, my dear darling children. Bye bye, take care.